There are three dark personality engines that quietly run a man's life. Most never spot which one is driving. They think they're choosing, when really they're being steered. That blindness isn't harmless. It's why good men get played, sidelined, and forgotten. But the few who can look straight into the mirror and name the thing behind their impulses, those are the ones who stop bleeding power and start directing it. Here's the harsh opener. Power does not belong to men who pretend to be pure. Power goes to those who understand the shadow that actually moves them, and then learn to master it. If you don't know which type is gripping your instincts, sculpting your reactions, and setting your ambitions, your future is already being negotiated without you. And the most common trap? The first type, the narcissist. Let's kill the myth. The narcissist doesn't love himself. He needs to be loved. He needs to be seen. He walks into a room and instantly starts running silent math. Who noticed me? Who didn't? Who praised me? Who dared to withhold? He's not scanning for opportunity. He's scanning for attention. He'll call it confidence. He'll sell it as charisma. But strip away the polish, and what you find is dependence on applause, dressed up as strength. That's why he never feels admired enough. The supply is never steady. Beneath the curated image is a brittle core that cannot tolerate being unseen or unflattered. One slight, and the performance fractures. One cold shoulder, and he swings to extremes, rage or collapse. He is an empire made of mirrors, glorious in reflection, fragile in structure. The moment the reflection stops cooperating, he tries to burn the room to restore it. You've seen versions of him everywhere, loud, manicured, slightly too perfect. Praise him, and he glows. Ignore him, and he wilts. Challenge him, and he snaps. Not because he's evil, because his center isn't anchored. And that's the quiet tragedy. Many men fail not from lack of skill, but from egos that cannot absorb reality without crumbling. One loss, and they vanish. One bruise, and they retreat into fantasy. Warriors don't do that. Addicts do. Now here's the paradox. The narcissist can still rise fast. He adapts his mask to whatever the room will worship. In politics, entertainment, corporate life. He often hits altitude quickly. Why? Because while thoughtful men debate, he seduces. While careful men prepare, he poses. He mirrors the crowd's desires back to them, and they reward the illusion. But the same spotlight that lifts him eventually fries him. When the applause fades or the narrative turns, he implodes. Not because he failed, but because being seen as perfect mattered more than being solid. This is when it gets dangerous for everyone nearby. As the attention drains, the tactics sharpen. Guilt, gaslight, revisionist history. He'll recast past kindness as proof of your ingratitude. In relationships, control creeps in. In business, vendettas bloom. Your attention is oxygen, and he needs it on demand. If he can't be the hero, he'll play tragic survivor or fashionable villain. Not from strategy, from panic. And yet, some narcissists evolve, at least on the surface. They study attention like a general studies terrain. The sloppy hunger for praise becomes selective, surgical. Compliments turn into currency to buy loyalty. Vulnerability becomes wardrobe. Worn just enough to look brave, never enough to be risky. He won't connect to know you. He'll connect to own you. He'll confess a flaw you're allowed to admire. He'll cry just enough to make you say, "He's different." And slowly, the gravity flips. Your self-doubt rises. His approval becomes a drug. You feel smaller around him and can't explain why. That's the design. He builds mirrors, not bonds. You're valuable when you reflect what he wants to see. Your admiration, your sympathy, your envy, your submission show a reflection he dislikes. Independence, anger, non-compliance. And he punishes. Coldness, cutting jokes, withdrawal calibrated to make you chase. Argue, and you're the problem. Try to leave, and he becomes the man you fell for, just long enough to reset the hook. Even if you escape, the imprint lingers. He said things no one else dared to say. He noticed what others missed. For a moment you felt fully seen. Then it was gone. That's the high. That's why everyone after him feels dull. That's the echo you fight even when your mind knows better. Here's the part that almost no one admits. Beneath all the costumes is a vacancy. He's mastered performance, but never found a self steady enough to live in. When the crowd goes home and the room is silent, he faces the question he can't answer. Who am I when no one is watching? The fear of that silence restarts the show. So before we go any further, you have to ask, does this live in you? Are your goals yours, or bait for applause? Do you want growth, or the display of growth? Are you chasing power, or the picture of a powerful man? If you lie to yourself here, you're stuck in the cage. If you answer honestly, something rare begins. The performance slows, and becoming begins. But honesty isn't the end. It's the doorway. Because when the need to be adored finally loosens its grip, many men don't become saints. They become colder strategists. And that shift births the second type. When a man outgrows his addiction to admiration, something shifts. He stops needing to be adored and starts needing to win. That hunger for validation hardens into calculation. He becomes quiet, detached, observant. And with that evolution, a new archetype emerges. The Machiavellian. The Machiavellian doesn't care if you love him. He doesn't care if you hate him. He only cares that you obey him. While the narcissist scans for applause, the Machiavellian scans for leverage. Every person he meets is a piece on the board, useful, disposable, replaceable. He doesn't hate people. He simply refuses to romanticize them. In his world, emotions are liabilities. Loyalty is negotiable. Kindness is camouflage. And truth is a weapon to be drawn or sheathed depending on what wins. He's not the loud one in the room. You'll rarely see him on stage. You'll find him behind the scenes, the advisor whispering in the ear of power, the strategist who moves empires without anyone realizing it was his hand. He doesn't speak first. He waits, watches, measures. And when he finally does speak, it isn't reaction. It's precision. Every word, every pause, every nod is calculated to move the board, not to express emotion. This man doesn't lose his temper. He's already anticipated the betrayal, already prepared for the setback, already gamed out every possible move 3 steps ahead. He isn't surprised by human weakness. He relies on it. He knows that outrage makes people predictable, and predictable people are easy to control. That's why his silence is more dangerous than another man's threats. You'll sit across from him and feel a chill that isn't cruelty. It's detachment. He's not trying to intimidate you, he's just reading you. You'll walk away thinking you connected with him, that you earned some kind of trust. But you didn't. He gave you a version of himself designed to make you open up, while he learned exactly what he needed to know about you. That's how the Machiavellian wins, not by force, but by understanding. Not by shouting, but by waiting. He plays a long game in a world of short tempers. While others boast, he records. While others reveal, he collects. By the time you realize he's dangerous, he's already positioned himself so well that your options are gone. You're outflanked, not because he fought harder, but because you never saw the trap being built. That's the Machiavellian advantage. He hides in plain sight, because he knows a fundamental truth that most people never learn. Visibility is vulnerability. The man who must be seen is easy to predict, easy to attack. The man who is invisible, the one who says little, reveals less, and waits for the right moment. That man survives. When you're in his presence, you'll sense it. A strange coldness, but not emptiness. He can be charming, funny, even kind, but something about him doesn't quite humanize. He never fully enters the room. He's there, but guarded, like a chess master watching you make the first move, already knowing how the match will end. He doesn't compliment to flatter. He compliments to test. He doesn't argue to win. He argues to measure your mind. His stories never expose weakness. They camouflage power. You walk away thinking he's transparent, but you only saw the layer he wanted you to. And that's the essence of Machiavellian control-restraint. He doesn't act on impulse. He doesn't burn bridges unless the ashes serve a purpose. Every betrayal is timed. Every alliance conditional. Every act reversible until it must be permanent. He's not chaotic. He's methodical. That's what makes him terrifying. He's not cruel for fun. He's efficient. If hurting you moves the game forward, he'll do it with elegance. If helping you strengthens his position, he'll do it with grace. You'll never know which side of him you're facing because he's not on a side. He's above sides. While everyone else scrambles for advantage, he's already written the final move. But even the Machiavellian has a fatal flaw. Arrogance disguised as wisdom. When a man begins to believe he's the smartest one in every room, his blindness begins. Overconfidence becomes his weakness, because even the perfect plan, once revealed, becomes a target. And every man who builds an empire eventually underestimates the one person patient enough to study him the way he studied everyone else. That's the paradox of the Machiavellian. To win, he must remain unseen. But if he stays hidden too long, he forgets what the game was even for. In that cold isolation, the mind that once ruled becomes consumed by its own schemes. His empire starts to rot from within, not from rebellion, but from meaninglessness. So, you have to ask yourself, are you becoming him? Have your relationships turned into strategies? Do you see people as assets, not allies? Do you plan every word, every move, every expression, and feel strangely empty after every win? Because that's how the descent begins. When control becomes your only language, you stop speaking human, and the next type waiting in that silence isn't more refined, it's more ruthless. The Machiavellian begins as a strategist. Calm, deliberate, precise. But stay in that mindset long enough, and something dark starts to stir. He stops playing to win for any particular reason. The victories stop feeling satisfying. The control that once gave him security now feels like a cage made of glass, perfect but empty. And that's when the descent begins. When calculation turns to coldness, and coldness hardens into cruelty. This is how the third type is born. The psychopath. He doesn't care about being loved like the narcissist. He doesn't crave obedience like the Machiavellian. He has moved beyond the need for validation or even understanding. He operates on one frequency, pure will. No guilt, no shame, no hesitation, no second guessing. While others are still thinking, he's already acting. While others weigh pros and cons, he's already broken the rule and rewritten it. That's what makes him terrifying. His speed. The psychopath doesn't process fear. He bypasses it. He doesn't get stuck in the web of "should I?" He moves before the world has time to react. And yet, he doesn't look like chaos. He often looks calm, too calm. When others rage or panic, his eyes stay still, unreadable. His silence feels heavier than shouting. He doesn't explain himself because to him, explanations are for the weak. He doesn't justify his actions because he doesn't believe in the moral framework that requires justification. To the psychopath, consequences are illusions created to control men who still feel guilt. Emotion is a leash. Conscience is a chain. The past is dead weight. Only the next move matters. That's why he can lie without blinking, destroy without hesitation, and walk away without looking back. It's not personal. It's not even hateful. It's simply instinct. He's the predator, and everything else is just meat that moves. You'll find him wherever there's chaos, not avoiding it, walking straight into it. While the narcissist freezes without applause and the Machiavellian waits for the perfect moment, the psychopath creates the moment. He doesn't wait for the storm to pass, he is the storm, and the more the world burns, the stronger he feels. Because rules are for those who fear punishment. He doesn't. That's his advantage. In a world where everyone else still hesitates, calculates, worries about the fallout. He's already crossed the line and taken what he wanted. He's not reckless. He's free. And that freedom, that total lack of internal restraint, gives him terrifying momentum. Because once you stop fearing consequences, you can do anything. But don't mistake this detachment for stupidity. The psychopath isn't a brute. He's often brilliant, observant, strategic, socially skilled. He knows exactly how you expect him to behave, and he mimics it flawlessly. He'll smile at the right time, apologize if needed, even shed tears if it helps the illusion. But inside, nothing moves. It's all choreography. Why? Because to feel is to be vulnerable. And he cut that part out long ago, maybe through trauma, maybe by choice. Doesn't matter. The result is the same. A man completely ungoverned by conscience. That's what lets him walk into danger like it's a boardroom. That's what makes him thrive when everything around him falls apart. And history proves it. When empires collapse, when rules dissolve, when institutions crumble, it's not the kind or the cautious who rise. It's the cold. The one who doesn't freeze when the old order burns. The one who acts while others are paralyzed. When the old systems of morality fail, the psychopath becomes king not because he's right, but because he's willing. But there's always a cost. The psychopath might win every battle, but he loses humanity itself. He might build an empire, but he'll rule it alone. His kingdom is cold, absolute, and godless. No loyalty, no peace, no home. Only dominance followed by silence. That's the tragedy of this type. He doesn't want to be saved. He doesn't even believe in salvation. He only believes in force, the raw, merciless power of will. He believes the world bends to those who are willing to do what others won't. And he's right. But only for a while. Because this emptiness he calls strength comes with a quiet torment. Disconnection. A life that can conquer everything but never feel it. He can dominate every man in the room, but never belong in it. He can kill every weakness, but also every warmth. And when he finally wins, when there's nothing left to fight, no more lines to cross, no more enemies to break what's left, nothing. Because he doesn't live for the throne. He lives for the conquest of it. And once the conquest is done, he's just a king sitting in a silent hall, surrounded by corpses, haunted by the one thing he's avoided his entire life: stillness. That's the end point of the psychopath's freedom. When he wins, he's alone. When he loses, he vanishes. Either way, the story ends the same: in isolation. And that's the question that lingers. Are you headed there? Are you becoming so detached, so efficient, so invulnerable that nothing touches you anymore? Because when that happens, you're not powerful, you're gone. The deeper a man travels into this darkness, the less he realizes what he's losing. At first, the psychopath feels untouchable. No fear, no shame, no guilt, no doubt. While everyone else is tangled in emotion, he moves like water. Clean, direct, unstoppable. But here's the truth. He isn't free. He's hollow. He doesn't love. He doesn't connect. He doesn't belong anywhere. He may command a room, but he never feels in it. He might win the war, but when the dust settles, he's surrounded by silence. No trust, no warmth, no loyalty. Only the echo of his own footsteps in an empire of ghosts. That's the unseen price of absolute control. Disconnection. He killed the part of himself that could feel pain, and with it, the part that could feel joy. He told himself it was strength, but it was surgery. He amputated humanity to escape vulnerability, and in doing so, lost the ability to heal. When the psychopath fails, he doesn't rage or spiral. He simply stops. He doesn't recalibrate like the Machiavellian or dramatize like the Narcissist. He just ceases to function. Because when domination is your only skill, and domination fails, you have nothing left. No identity, no community, no purpose. Just the endless cold hum of existence without meaning. This is the final cost of the third type. He wins alone. He dies alone. Either way, he ends alone. And that's the cruel irony. Most men envy him before they understand him. They see the still eyes, the calm tone, the aura of power. They think that's what strength looks like, but they don't see the emptiness behind it. They mistake numbness for mastery. In truth, the psychopath doesn't choose this path. He is this path. His emptiness isn't a skill. It's a condition, a quiet torment, invisible but constant. He can't attach, can't feel peace, can't rest. Even victory bores him, because when nothing matters, nothing satisfies. And yet, men keep trying to imitate it. They mimic the stare, the silence, the stoicism. They think emotional detachment is power. But pretending to be cold is not the same as being cold. You can fake indifference until the world truly tests you. Until chaos erupts, until betrayal lands, until your heart breaks. And then you'll find out. Because when real pain hits, most men flinch, beg, or break. The true psychopath doesn't. Not because he's strong, because there's nothing left to break. That's why he's so dangerous. He moves without hesitation, without empathy, without friction. And in a collapsing world, that gives him an advantage no strategist can match: speed. While others analyze, he acts. While others worry, he finishes. He thrives in instability because he is instability. But that advantage comes with decay. Because the psychopath is not a builder. He's not a strategist. He's not a creator of order. He doesn't negotiate, nurture, or sustain. He only conquers, consumes, and moves on. He feeds on motion, not meaning. And when the thrill fades, he's forced to chase something louder, riskier, bloodier, until there's nothing left to destroy but himself. The Machiavellian wanted control. The narcissist wanted applause. But the psychopath, he wants nothing at all. That's what makes him terrifying and tragic. You'll find him in boardrooms, war rooms, and back alleys, in CEOs, generals, cult leaders, and criminals. He doesn't lead with love. He commands with gravity. His silence shifts the room. His gaze freezes men mid-sentence, because everyone can feel it, the absence of restraint, the absence of fear. He doesn't play by rules, not yours, not society's, not even God's. And in a world built on shared illusions, morality, empathy, conscience, the man who walks outside those illusions wields unthinkable power. The power to act without hesitation, to decide without remorse, to destroy without blinking. That's the psychopath's kingdom. Cold, absolute, godless. But envy him carefully, because while weak men dream of being feared, he dreams of nothing. He doesn't feel the rush of being admired or the peace of being understood. He feels nothing, period. And that's not strength. That's decay disguised as dominance. The coldest men look the calmest because they're already dead inside. And that's not mastery. That's loss. The world worships this shadow, not realizing it's a warning. Because when you kill your empathy to become powerful, you don't become a god. You become a ghost that can't die. You walk through life untouchable, yes, but untouched. No love, no belonging, no meaning. And in the end, even your victories taste like ash. The question now isn't whether this darkness exists in others. It's whether you've started walking toward it. Are you isolating yourself to protect your mind, or because you no longer believe in connection? Have your strategies become habits? Has your confidence turned into coldness? If so, you may not be evolving anymore. You may be dissolving, because this path doesn't climb upward. It spirals downward. And at the bottom of that spiral is not power. It's emptiness wearing a crown. Every man carries all three shadows inside him: the narcissist, the Machiavellian, and the psychopath. Most are ruled by one, influenced by another, and pretending they're none. But pretending never saves you. It only delays the truth. The narcissist chases applause and calls it ambition. The Machiavellian chases control and calls it intelligence. The psychopath chases domination and calls it freedom. And the tragedy is that most men spend their entire lives cycling between these masks. One craving to be loved, one obsessed with control, and one determined to feel nothing at all. They perform strength instead of becoming strong. They talk about authenticity while living as actors in their own stories. They confuse being admired with being respected, being feared with being free, being silent with being wise. But all of those are illusions, because none of these archetypes on their own lead to sovereignty. They lead to dependency on praise, on power, on chaos. The narcissist depends on others to see him. The Machiavellian depends on others to use them. The psychopath depends on destruction to feel alive. Different addictions, same prison. And the only way out is through awareness. When you finally stop lying to yourself. When you can say, yes, I crave admiration, or yes, I manipulate for safety, or yes, I detach so I won't get hurt. That's when something shifts. Awareness doesn't make you weak. It makes you sovereign. Because you can't master what you refuse to see. You don't defeat your shadow by pretending it isn't there. You defeat it by directing it. That's the rarest form of strength, to stand between your instincts and your actions, and choose deliberately which part of your darkness serves you and which destroys you. Because when you understand the narcissist in you, you learn discipline. When you understand the Machiavellian in you, you learn restraint. When you understand the psychopath in you, you learn courage, but without cruelty. You stop being ruled by your darkness and instead, you wield it. You don't perform power. You embody it. This is the man who can walk into chaos without losing himself. He can lead without needing worship. He can act with precision without becoming cold. He can strike without becoming cruel. He's not innocent, but he's awake. Not gentle, but self-governed. Not detached, but disciplined. He's not trying to be good. He's trying to be whole. And wholeness is not light without dark. It's both, integrated and aligned. That's what most people never reach, because it's brutal work. To face your own mask, to tear down your illusions, to see how much of what you've built was just armor. Most can't handle that truth. They'd rather live adored, envied, or feared than live real. But a few, the ones who stay, they become dangerous in the best way possible. Because once you master your shadow, no one can use it against you. No insult can pierce you. No manipulation can control you. No fear can own you. You've already walked through your own darkness and survived it. You've seen what you're capable of, both noble and ruthless, and now you stand balanced, not blinded. You're no longer the narcissist chasing reflection. You're no longer the Machiavellian building traps. You're no longer the psychopath hiding from feeling. You've become something rarer, the one who sees clearly and chooses consciously. That is the true Machiavellian mastery, not the domination of others, but the domination of self. It's not about manipulation or coldness. It's about clarity. When you see your shadow and direct it, you stop being a victim of instinct and start becoming the architect of fate. That's the final evolution. Not purity, not goodness, but sovereignty. So now ask yourself honestly, which mask have you been wearing for so long that you forgot it was a mask? Have you been chasing validation, control, or detachment? And are you ready, really ready, to face the part of you that's been quietly pulling the strings all along? Because once you do, you'll see that every act of cruelty, every manipulation, every lie you ever told yourself was never about others. It was about power, the power to feel safe. And once you understand that, you stop reaching for false power altogether. You don't need applause. You don't need obedience. You don't need chaos. You just need mastery. The ability to stand still, look your shadow in the eye, and say, I see you, but I rule you. If you've made it this far, you already know what that means. It means you're done pretending. It means you're ready to stop performing and start becoming. So write this in the comments, not for the algorithm, but for yourself. I master my shadow. Because that sentence is not a slogan. It's a vow. And in a world of sleeping men, the one who takes that vow becomes the most dangerous type of all, awake, unbreakable, and finally,